Hello, boys and girls. It's Greg from the Scary Spirits Podcast again. Today I'm going to show you how to make the Dracula's Blood cocktail, which is the featured cocktail in today's episode. Alright, we're going to start with our shaker with ice. We're going to add 2 ounces of rum, 2. I'm going to need to get some more rum. Next, we're going to add 3/4 of an ounce peach schnapps. 3/4 of an ounce. Whatever. Next, we're going to add 3 ounces black cherry juice. I didn't even know there was such a thing. One. Next, we're going to add grenadine. 2 teaspoons. 1, 2. Then, of course, we shake. Then we pour it, strain it into. The recipe calls for a martini glass, cocktail glass. I'm going to use my brandy glass. And then we garnish with a maraschino cherry. And there you have it. The Dracula's Blood. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the podcast. See ya.
There are so many reasons why Greg crushes extra hard on Christopher Lee. Sir Christopher Lee was a member of the Royal Air Force and became an intelligence officer. As such, he was involved in conducting espionage, sabotage, and reconnaissance in occupied Europe. He spoke 6 languages, was a championship fencer, and if you can imagine it, an opera singer. To fall in love with Christopher Lee and see why he became the Dracula to a generation of fans, listen to this week's episode of the Scary Spirits Podcast, number 23, The Horror of Dracula. Cheers!
Welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and/or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So if you're ready, let's go. Hi, I'm Greg,
Hi, I'm Karen.
and welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different but highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm doing great. How are you, Greg?
I'm good.
What?
I'm good.
Wait, I don't know how to respond to that. Throwing me for a loop and we aren't even started yet. Is there something special that happened today, or you just woke up
I'm
and
just
decided?
Good. Just good. Yeah.
Well, that's just awesome to hear.
So, Karen, do we have any errors or corrections or omissions or any of that shit from last week?
I'm sure we do, but
It was so long ago. I can't remember.
and I was drunk, so I don't know.
So I'm going to say no, we did a wonderful job.
I'll go with that. We were delightful.
All right, Karen, I believe this was your choice, was it? Was it not?
It was.
And what film have you chosen for us?
I have chosen the 1958 film, The Horror of Dracula.
1958, you say?
Don't ask me if I remember 1958 or I'm going to get really mad at you. Because no, I do not.
Yeah, I don't either. Why did you choose this film, Karen? Any reason? Or just because vampires are cool?
Well, vampires are cool. And we're heading into October. And it's just kind of a tradition. My mom used to watch these movies. So it's kind of to honor her and remember her and welcome fall.
It is my favorite time of the year.
Mine too. I had my youngest say to me today, you get way too excited about Halloween.
Do we have a cocktail, Karen?
We do.
What is it?
It's called Dracula's Blood.
How would I make that cocktail?
Well, it's from thekitchenismyplayground.com. And you're going to need 2 ounces of white rum, 3/4 of an ounce of peach schnapps, 3 ounces of black cherry juice, and 2 teaspoons of grenadine. Also, you can garnish with fresh cherries or maraschino cherries if you want to be fancy. Do you want to know what to do with all that deliciousness?
I do, but first I have to make a comment. Why 3/4 of an ounce of peach schnapps? I don't get that at all.
Why? You want more?
Well, why 3/4 of an ounce? I mean, why don't you just put a whole ounce in? What's the difference? I mean,
I
if
don't
you're like
know.
me, you're using like a jigger to, measure this stuff, So I just I probably put more than 3/4 of an ounce in mine. I'm just going to say.
Well,
Didn't make sense to me.
I don't know, but maybe they did a taste test. As a scientist, I would guess that they lined them all up and put different amounts in and said, which one's the winner? Did a blind taste test. And if most people picked 3/4 of an ounce, maybe the peach was too overpowering at 1 ounce, but not quite enough at 1/2 ounce.
Okay, whatever. How do we make it?
You asked. Place rum, peach schnapps, black cherry juice, and grenadine in a cocktail shaker with ice. Shake for about 10 seconds to mix and chill. Strain into a martini glass. Garnish with a fresh or maraschino cherry if desired. And they have a number 4 that says, enjoy.
Enjoy, yes. I have another comment. This black cherry juice, I did not even know such a thing existed.
It's tasty, though.
And I like it, though.
Yeah, I like it, too.
I believe we covered that we both liked black cherry when we were doing the last vampire drink, when it had the
Squirts in it.
squirts of whatever water flavoring shit. I don't know. But we
It's
both
got a
used
really-
black cherry.
It's got a really nice, dark, almost black color.
Yeah, it does.
And it's very tasty, I think.
I do too.
I would have this at my Halloween party.
I would have this every night for dinner.
It's a good vampire looking drink, though. I'm just saying it's not.
It might be better with the the old standard syrup and red food coloring.
Well, sure, but I like the deep. It looks more like blood than
Well, it looks like
cranberry
wine.
juice. It's pretty dark for wine. Well, maybe not. I don't know.
All right, everybody, get your stuff and make it. Hold on. And we're back.
I wonder if they miss us when we're gone.
If they don't now, they will. You'll miss us when we're gone. All right, Karen. Anything else? Anything else we need to cover?
Well, do you want a synopsis?
Of course.
Horror of Dracula, 1958. Jonathan Harker begets the ire of Count Dracula after he accepts a job at the vampire's castle under false pretenses, forcing his colleague, Dr. Van Helsing, to hunt the predatory villain when he targets Harker's loved ones. There's a lot of big words in that one.
Yes.
It's true, though.
It is. It's true. Are you ready to get into it?
I'm always ready to get into a vampire movie.
All right. Horror of Dracula, or as it was released across the pond in the UK, just Dracula from 1958. It was Horror of Dracula in the US, just so people wouldn't get confused with the Universal film of the same name. All right, Karen, the movie opens and we have credits.
Fancy red credits.
Yeah. And some stone eagles. Was that what you would call them?
That's what I called it, with ominous music.
Yeah, I didn't know if they weren't griffins or anything, right? They were just...
I don't think so.
Yeah, just stone eagles painting across a castle, correct?
Yeah, the outside of the castle.
And I had to make a note. I made a note here that my wife, who watched this film with me, was surprised that George Benson was in this film.
You mean like the sitcom star?
Oh, like the musician.
Oh.
George Benson, the guitar player.
I do not know that.
It's kind of like a jazz guitar player. Not the same guy.
I did notice Christopher Lee didn't get top billing.
No, he's like fourth.
Yeah, I was
right?
just surprised because he is the title character.
But he's like but it does say and starring as Count. He gets like a little extra.
But Peter Cushing's the only one above the title, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm at even the movie poster, it's Peter Cushing in Dracula, right? Or Horror of Dracula. I'm looking at the UK poster, and it says also starring Michael Goff and Melissa Dribbling. And then in larger letters, it says, and Christopher Lee as Dracula. So I don't know.
Well, I guess he gets something special. I just expected him to be on top there.
Yeah. I don't know how much he'd done or what he was really famous for before this. This was his first Dracula film. He'd been in other films for Hammer, The Curse of Frankenstein, and other horror films, but this was his first Dracula one. And I have to say, from the get-go, he is my Dracula. You know what I mean?
That's who you associate the character
Growing
with.
up, I had a poster of Christopher Lee as Dracula on my wall.
Nice.
And it was a black light poster too, Karen.
You had a black light in your room?
No, it glowed. Yeah, I'm sure I did.
Okay.
Maybe not, but I don't know. It was cool. Just like vampires are cool, right, Karen?
Yes, they are.
So, I think they're cool too. I don't just say it all the time like you do.
You're just not as vocal about it.
Right. So anyway, we're painting down the castle with all the credits rolling. And we go into, I guess, the cellar.
I guess it's just a side
I'm calling
room.
it the cellar. I call it the
side
cellar
door.
throughout because we go to various cellars throughout this film.
We do.
And we see a casket with the name Dracula engraved on it.
Yeah, it's a stone, made of stone, looks
Yes.
like.
And when the credits stop, the blood starts dripping on the casket.
Or they're throwing red food coloring on it.
It's blood, Karen. I thought that was cool. And we should also cover this, Karen. Have you seen this before?
I don't think so.
I know I have. I've seen it many times. As soon as it came on, I said, I've seen this before. They Turner Classic Movie plays this every Halloween.
I think I've seen parts of it because I recognized parts of it, but I don't think I've seen the whole thing from start to finish.
Okay. So then the movie starts. Does it start opening the book, the diary?
Yeah, it opens with the Diary of Jonathan.
So we just see the book and it opens and it says Diary of Jonathan Harker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he starts reading, or the voice of Jonathan Harker, the actor who plays Jonathan Harker, starts reading entries from it, right?
Yeah, he starts the 3rd of May, 1885.
Yeah, I just wrote 1885. That's all I wrote. And we also see what's happening as well, correct? He's in a coach,
Mm-hmm.
a horse-drawn coach, because it's 1885. There were no cars that you have to know the MSRP in this movie, Karen.
Thank God. How much is the horse carriage worth today?
But The coach driver, he says the coach driver refused to take him all the way to Castle Dracula. So he had to walk the last, did he say kilometers? Couple kilometers? Okay, yeah. I thought he did. And he did make a note that there were no birds. I wrote that down, chirping.
No birds singing.
Nope. When he got to Castle Dracula.
He does arrive in the afternoon.
He does.
Yeah.
So he enters Dracula's castle, begins walking around, exploring. And he finds that Dracula has left a note for him on the dinner table in the dining room. I'm calling that room the dining room from now on.
Yes. Because, there's a table set with food on it for him. Yeah. So I would call it the dining room.
But the note says, welcome. Sorry I could not meet you in person. Here's some food for you.
Yeah, the table's set very nicely. There's food. The fire is lit. It's welcoming. He's ready for him. Yes. Knows he's coming.
Were you surprised there was no Renfield?
I was.
It's not a remake of Dracula, but it's from the same source material, right?
Oh, so they could choose to put in whatever they wanted.
I don't know.
Leave out whatever they wanted.
I guess.
But yeah, there's usually someone in the castle to help.
Welcome. A caretaker, whatever, right?
Yeah.
A manservant. So eventually he knocks like the plates off the table, I guess, after he eats.
Yeah, he's just looking around. He goes to his bag, gets his diary out. He knocks off a plate. While he's picking it up, he realizes someone's behind him.
Yeah, we see the bottom of a dress. He stands up to see a woman standing there.
Who looks like a Greek goddess.
My wife said, "Why is she wearing a Greek robe?" That's exactly what she said.
Why is she in a toga? A fancy toga, but a toga. But I
don't know. Yeah. It's 1885.
Yes, but if you were wearing that at a Halloween costume, someone would say, "Cool Greek costume." Yeah.
Toga.
Right.
And she pleads with Jonathan Harker to help her escape.
He introduces himself as the new librarian.
Yes.
And then she starts pleading.
And then she runs away.
Well, she says the Count's keeping her prisoner. Please help me. Please help me. And then she looks at his neck and then she runs away.
Yes. And we hear dramatic music.
He doesn't seem very bright, this Jonathan Harker. I mean,
but apparently he knows exactly what he's getting himself into.
Yeah, but wouldn't you be suspicious of anyone in the castle at nighttime?
Well, it's not nighttime yet, right? Or is it? You think it's nighttime now? Since right now Dracula appears at the top of the stairs.
Yes.
Okay, so it's been some time has elapsed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he turns. There's ominous music and dun dun dun. Who's at the top of the stairs?
Yeah, Dracula's at the top of the stairs, and Dracula takes Harker to his room.
Well, wait.
Carries his bags and everything.
Wait a second. So Christopher Lee descends the staircase, right? And this is something that I noticed now that I'm old about the staircase.
I noticed something as they're walking up.
There's no handrail.
There is no handrail.
There's no banister. It's just steps coming down.
It's wide. It's a wide staircase.
It is, but I just thought, I'm an old person. Where do I hold on?
And I noticed as they were walking up the stairs, each of them took 2 stairs at a time.
Yeah, they're both pretty athletic in this thing. Especially,
they must both be tall too. I think Christopher Lee's pretty tall.
Actually, the person who impressed me the most was Van Helsing.
Yeah,
he did a couple of that. If he did his own stunts, which I don't know.
Well, of course,
but he's pretty athletic guy too.
So Dracula takes Harker to his room, and I made a note that the chest at the foot of his bed looked like another casket.
It does,
just like the casket that we saw in the credits,
but smaller.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
it looked like a kid's casket. It's a neat house.
It's a castle.
Well, okay, it's a neat castle. It's a mix of like old world and Art Deco, and the tops of the doors are all rounded, which is cool. Heavy fabrics, gold gilded furniture, 4-poster bed,
tapestries,
fireplace. It's a castle, but there's some Art Deco mixed in there that kind of looks out of place, really, like those swirly things at the top and of the stairs. Anyway,
so Dracula excuses himself, and as Dracula is gone, Harker begins to unpack his bag, and he puts up a picture of his fiancée Lucy, and then Dracula re-enters the room and gives him a key to the library because he says, "Seeing as I am going to be away for quite a while, I thought it only fitting that you have the key to the library." Something like
Pretty
that,
good.
right?
That's
Thanks.
pretty good.
And then he sees the picture of Lucy. Dracula does.
This is confusing to me because wasn't Jonathan Harker's girlfriend in Dracula Mina?
No,
Was
it was
it-
Lucy, wasn't it?
I don't, maybe. I just thought it was, did they switch them in this?
It could be.
Because wasn't Winona Ryder, Mina, and Keanu Reeves Harker in that?
Well, you're talking about the Bram Stoker's Dracula now. I mean, they're all different somewhat.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the source material. I thought that,
Oh, right. Well, I've never read it, so I don't know.
well, I haven't either, but I thought Mina and Harker were together. It's not important, especially not to this story,
Maybe
but
it is. I don't know.
it just kind of threw me a little bit.
Yeah, I just know there's a Lucy character, there's a Harker character, there's a Mina character. You know, we don't have Renfield in this, so, and I'm not sure who the woman is, but anyway,
Oh, the Greek goddess.
yes.
Yeah, I don't think she has a name.
So anyway, Dracula seems kind of smitten with Lucy, maybe a little bit. Well, just says she's lovely or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Then Dracula leaves and he locks the door behind him. So he locks Harker in his room, right?
Yeah, it's a little
Harker
creepy.
goes to open the door and it's locked. So why did he give him the key to the library if he was going to lock him in his room?
Well, I'm guessing that somebody would have unlocked it in the morning to let him out. But there's nobody
guess.
there, so I don't know who would do it.
So why would he lock him in?
So he can't explore the castle by himself
Okay.
because he has secrets. He's Dracula.
Yeah, but do you think he locked him in to keep him safe?
No.
Because it sounds like he has a job that needs to be done. And he's found the guy to do it, right? So maybe
Possibly.
he wants to keep him safe so he can get his library categorized.
Well, that is
I don't know.
important.
Maybe not. So then Harker begins writing in his diary. And this is where we learn that he knows exactly who Dracula is. And he aims to end his reign of terror.
Yeah, I don't think I would write this stuff down while I was in the castle. But yeah, so we do know that Jonathan is not the librarian. He's there to kill Dracula.
Yes. And he sits by the fire. Do you think he has some time has elapsed?
Yeah, we see Dracula leave the castle and then Jonathan's sitting by the fire.
In
It
his
looks
room.
like, yeah, and he looks like he's sort of dozing off.
Right.
So I think some time has passed.
And he hears something at his door, and we see the doorknob move, and he goes to open it, and he opens it, and it's unlocked now, but there's no one there. But he does see a shadow, and he follows it down to the dining room, down through the treacherous stairs with no banister.
Yes.
You better be careful. He could fall and break his neck.
That would be unfortunate. But it looks like they go to the library.
I thought they were in the dining room.
No, it's got the big globe.
I thought
all
that
the
was
books
the same
are in
room
there.
as the dining room.
I don't think it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be
I thought they went back to the room with the big table and everything.
No,
But anyway.
I said the library. I think it's a different room, but
So he goes and he finds out it's the woman he met before that he's following. And again, she begs for his help.
but she can't tell him why Dracula is keeping her there.
And he promises to help her
Yeah, he's fallen for her charms.
and hugs her. Well, he's got a fiance.
I know, he just not acting like he's got one.
But he does he's helping a damsel in distress.
He wants to be a hero.
So he hugs her and she goes to bite his neck.
Her eyes get really wide when she's so
right on
close.
his jugular.
Yeah. When she sees his neck there. And I think she bites him.
She does. And then Dracula appears at the top of the stairs.
Oh,
Or
I
is it a
just said
window?
no, it's a window.
Okay, so
He
maybe
comes
it is
through
a
the
different
window.
room. Comes through the window and throws her around the room.
Yeah, and Harker tries to fight him.
And we should say that I don't think Dracula has any more lines in this film after we first meet him. He has no more lines. He just hisses and stuff a lot.
But not really. He just kind of uses his charms and influence. He does. You're right. I don't think he speaks
He
again.
doesn't. Then Harker tries to stop him from, throwing the girl around. And he tosses Harker aside and
takes the girl and carries her up the stairs. So there are stairs where they are.
Yeah, you're right. There are. Did he kill
There's
her?
no banister.
No, he didn't kill her.
No, he didn't kill her.
But it's obvious what they are now. They're both bleeding from their mouths or
They both have
blood.
fangs. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so
They're both vampires.
The secret's out.
Yeah. Well,
you know.
it never was a secret.
Well, but presumably
Harker knew who he was.
But presumably Dracula thought that he was a librarian.
Presumably, yeah. But now he knows that he knows, even though he may not know that he came there to kill him.
Right.
So the next morning, once again, Harker's door is locked.
Well, he's in his bed, fully dressed.
Yes. He does take a mirror and he examines the bite marks on his neck. And he does have a reflection, so he's not a vampire yet.
And did you notice they used the candle? The candle, there was a big fat candle lit when the camera first came in.
The elapse of time.
Yeah. And then when he wakes up, the candle's going out. So he misses almost a whole day.
Right. He says he's missed a day. And he thinks he may be a vampire. Then he sets off to find Dracula's hiding place to kill him. And he goes out the window of his room.
And he records it in his diary that he's become a victim of Dracula and hopes whoever finds him will do what is necessary to release his soul.
Correct. So he goes down to the cellar of Castle Dracula.
Yeah, you're right. He climbed out the window, but it's cool stained glass window.
And he finds Dracula in his coffin as well as the woman in hers.
He does leave his diary in a Virgin Mary shrine. So he's leaving that, hoping that someone will find it and know what to do. But yeah, okay, he finds them both.
And why is there a Virgin Mary shrine on the grounds of Castle Dracula?
I don't know, but that's what it was.
That's what it looked like to me too.
I think it's off his property at the crossroads.
So next he takes a wooden stake and he drives it through the quote unquote heart of the woman. Right.
But so he goes down.
I'm no expert on an anatomy.
It's a little low.
But I don't think he was hitting the heart, but whatever.
But if you go down to the cellar and your mission is to kill Dracula, he walks over, he looks in Dracula's casket, and he stands there and stares at him.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Then he walks over to the woman and stands and stares at her. And I'm like, get on with it, dude. I would have killed Dracula first, but he killed the woman. And then what happens?
Of course, Dracula wakes up.
I'm like, why are you dicking around? Go, go, go.
And then he goes to Dracula's casket. Well, first the woman turns into like an old hag, right?
Yeah, and they don't show him stake her. They do the shadow work, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, we don't see any blood splatter either, do we?
No.
That would be cool. I think there is blood on the stake, though.
On the stake, yeah. And she does. She turns
maybe on his hands. Well, I know later Van Helsing has blood on his hands. So then he goes to stake Dracula, but he gone.
Yeah. He's disappeared from his resting place.
Yes. And now it appears to be getting dark. I made a note.
Yeah, I wrote Harker is doomed.
Yeah. And then we see Dracula enter the cellar door and closes the door behind him.
Jonathan drops the stake. You hear it hit the floor. Ping, 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 ping.
I didn't notice that, but we fade to black.
So it probably wasn't good.
Probably not. Next scene, I think we're in a pub and there's a music box playing.
Yeah, the town tavern. I said, did the landlord sniff cocaine or something? What did you see him do that?
No.
He sniffed something.
It could have been snuff.
Well, what's snuff?
It's like tobacco.
Up your nose?
A tobacco thing, yeah.
Okay.
Snuff, tobacco. It's smokeless tobacco made from ground or pulverized tobacco leaves. It's inhaled or snuffed into the nasal cavity.
All right.
Delivering a swift hit of nicotine.
I was unfamiliar, so.
And flavoring. So anyway, yeah.
It's like, what's he doing?
Van Helsing walks in.
Yeah, and everybody goes quiet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Van Helsing starts talking about Harker, but no one wants to talk about it. No one wants to talk about anything.
Well, he asks for a meal, and the landlord calls for Inga.
Inga. I thought we are going to have a song too.
A song.
Yeah. About the innkeeper's daughter. But no, we didn't. But it is a very similar scene, I thought. But that's
I agree. We're talking about Wicker Man.
Wicker Man, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Van Helsing makes a note that there was garlic hanging all over the pub.
Well, Inga says she remembers Harker, that she mailed a letter for him. And everybody's mad at Inga because she
Yes.
opened her mouth.
Yes, they tell her to be quiet. And Van Helsing tries to, to convince them that I know what's going on. I know why you're doing all this. I can help you, right? But they're not, nope, not saying anything.
Well, he does ask for directions to the castle Dracula. Nobody's going to pipe up then.
Nope. But then Inga brings him his food and she hands him Harker's diary. She says that he had given it to her and told her to burn it.
No, she said it was found at the crossroads.
Okay.
And the innkeeper told her to burn it.
Okay.
But she didn't because Harker was nice.
Got it.
So she kept it. And then the innkeeper tells Van Helsing to eat and leave.
Yeah. I missed that part I thought Harker gave it to her. Van Helsing goes to Castle Dracula. And as he's getting there, he is nearly run over by a funeral coach.
Very fancy. Black feathers on the horses.
Yes, very nice. Van Helsing enters the castle and begins searching for Harker.
Well, wait, there's a white casket. It's a glass. The carriage is glass.
In
and
the
there's
carriage, yes.
And there's a white casket.
Yes.
In there.
Coffin. This is a coffin, yeah. So Van Helsing begins searching for Harker. He finds his room in disarray, and Lucy's photos are missing.
I didn't know how he would know it was Harker's room. I mean, what I know, I'm sure there are many bedrooms in that castle, right? But he does find Harker's room. And you're right, ransacked.
And then eventually Van Helsing finds the cellar and finds the dead woman that Harker had already staked. And he sees Harker as a vampire in another casket.
Yeah, he's upset by that.
Yep. He grabs a stake and approaches Harker's coffin or casket. And then we fade to black.
And I thought, is he dead? And then
next scene. Harker is telling Arthur, who played Alfred in the Batman movies, the Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher Batman movies. He was the best Alfred the Butler, actually. Anyway, he's telling him of Harker's death, and they want to know where was he buried, and he says he was cremated.
As he wished.
As he
what
wished.
He says, yeah.
And we find out that Arthur is Lucy's brother, and he has a wife. Mina is his wife.
Yeah, Arthur is someone I don't recognize that name from the. I didn't know who these people were.
Yeah, I don't know. I think what's their last name? Holmwood.
Yeah.
Arthur and Mina Holmwood.
But yeah, so they're all tightly connected. Jonathan was going to marry Arthur's sister, Lucy.
Yes.
And Arthur says they should tell Lucy that Jonathan has passed away.
But apparently she's sick.
Yeah, she's not doing well. And Arthur doesn't seem to trust Van Helsing. He doesn't seem to like him very much at all.
So then we see a scene of Lucy in bed.
Yeah, she says she'll get better when Jonathan comes home.
Yes.
Wasn't she blonde in the pictures?
No, it was. Of course, they were black and white, Karen. It was 1885.
I know that, but I thought her hair was light. I was surprised that she was a brunette when I saw her.
What? She wasn't a brunette.
Yes, she was.
No, she isn't.
Lucy is.
Oh, I don't think she is. I didn't see that. Her hair's like my color, almost blonde.
No, it's not.
It is kind of dark. You're right. It's brown. Yeah.
It's a brunette. That's what a brunette is.
Oh, what's someone with the black hair then?
Well,
Well,
you can either call it black or you can call it brunette still too, but
well, she had brown hair. So anyway,
they
she's
all
not
say
quite
goodnight.
a blonde. Yes, they all say goodnight. Tell her to get some rest. As soon as they all leave a room, what does she do, Karen?
I think she goes to the door and locks it.
Yeah, she does. And then what does she do, Karen?
She goes to the window and opens it.
Well, it's like a patio, isn't it? It's like her patio door.
I
Like
guess it
there's
is.
doors
Yeah,
overlooking
you're right.
to her patio.
She takes off her cross.
And then she removes the cross around her neck. And then we see there are bite marks on her neck.
and she gets back in bed with anticipation.
Yes, anticipation.
She looks a little too excited, I'm just going to say. For these people who are engaged, they don't seem all that able to resist the charms of other people.
Well, they're vampires.
Well, vampires. So you're right.
What are you going to do?
All right, Karen. Next, we see Van Helsing listening to what I assume is an Edison cylinder phonograph.
Okay.
Well, is that what it is? Because
I
I even
don't know.
said, I asked my wife, what the hell is he listening to? There were no tapes or anything then.
It's the
right?
thing going round and round.
Yeah. So it's an Edison cylinder to phonograph. You know what year those were in? Edison invented the cylinder to phonograph, Karen? Would you like to take a guess?
1884.
Nope. 1877 was the year it was invented by Thomas Edison, or the patent was in his name. I'll say that.
Oh.
It's probably invented by one of his co-workers, we'll say. Anyway, actually, it's Van Helsing's voice reciting all about how to kill vampires, right?
It's vampire facts.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was invented in 1877. Edison kind of abandoned it to work on other things like the light bulb. And he didn't form the Edison Phonograph Company until October 1887.
Wow.
So 2 years after this was supposed to have taken place, right? 1885, according to Harker's diary.
1885. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So in 1887, Edison formed the Edison Phonograph Company, and he introduced the improved phonograph in May 1888, which could be used as a dictation machine.
So they're a little early.
Research. Yeah, because he starts dictating into it.
He did, yeah.
Onto the cylinder, the wax cylinder. So they're a little early. But Karen, do you know what one of those cylinder to phonographs from 1888 may go for now, today? Any idea? Well, let's start with this. Do you know how much one of the cylinders would go for? This might give you some kind of a better range of how much they're worth.
$90,000.
The cylinders?
Sure.
About $5.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
they're not.
That being said, what do you think one of those cylinder phonographs you could get one for today?
$125.
No. This one I think would go, if it is what I think it is, between $400 and $600.
So there must have been a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, they must be all over the place then.
I'm sure they were very mass produced. But anyway, he recites into it, updating his little vampire.
Wait, that's pretty
thing.
bad. $90,000 and it's $5. Someone does not know their antiques.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known either.
That's hilarious.
I always put you
though.
on the spot on these questions, but I have to look them up because I have no idea either.
That is, I don't know if I'll ever guess that bad again.
Yeah, so you were
yeah,
89,995. All right,
Sorry.
pretty close.
I went over though. I would lose at the Price is Right. Sorry, I just thought that was funny.
Brew, I'll bid $1.
Exactly. If you were standing next to me, you would.
Yes, if Karen is ever on the Price and Right,
bid $1.
bid $1. All right. So then Van Helsing gives the butler, I say he's a butler, in the X-ray, it called him a porter, but whatever.
I called him a butler. But so here are the facts that he is listening to. 1, that sunlight is fatal.
Yes.
2, that garlic repels the vampire. And 3, the crucifix, which symbolizes good over evil, also can hurt the vampire.
Then he adds some more to it. I don't know. I can't remember what he says into it. He records something. But he gives the butler a letter to mail. And the butler says something. I thought I heard you talking to someone. And he says, of course, I was talking to myself. A little comic relief, I think.
It was. He does say the crucifix reveals the vampire or the victim in advanced stages.
Okay.
And then he records himself saying that the victims don't want to be victims of the vampire, but it's like a drug addiction.
Yes.
That's what
like
he said.
A drug addiction. They can't help themselves.
So death occurs from loss of blood. Then they become the undead. So he needs to find Dracula and destroy him.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Next scene, we see Dracula entering Lucy's room. And he
Dracula's-
pulls his cape over her.
Yes. She doesn't
scene.
resist.
No. Next scene, I guess, is the next morning, and the doctors, they're examining her again. The doctor says she has anemia.
She's weaker. They were hoping she would get better,
Yeah,
and
she's not getting better.
She's worse.
And that the little girl, Tanya, who was Lucy's niece.
Yeah, I couldn't figure that out, but later they say it's Gerda's daughter. I think she just calls her Aunt Lucy, like a familiar kind of thing, like you would,
Yeah, I understand.
I don't think they're actually related.
Okay. But she kind of scolds, wants to know why the doctor can't figure out what's wrong with her.
Right. She's a mouthy little kid.
Yeah. So that prompts the doctor to ask Mina if she would like to get a second opinion, because he knows she's not getting any better as well, right?
Yeah.
But the doctor does say to continue with the medicine he has prescribed and plenty of fresh air. So then Mina, Mrs. Holmwood, goes to Van Helsing and tells him of Lucy's symptoms.
Yeah, I think the letter that she got was from Dr. Van Helsing, and he's saying that he has some of Jonathan's things that they can come and pick up. So once she's there in the office, they can talk about it.
Gotcha. And as soon as Mina says anemia, Van Helsing, his eyes he's like perks up, right?
Yeah, because it happened about 10 days ago.
10 days, yes.
Yeah, which is exactly when everything went down.
So Van Helsing says he wants to see her and examine her at once. And here's where I made a note. How did the doctor miss the bite mark on her neck? But then they explain it away, saying she says they were insect bites or something, right?
Right.
But Van Helsing sees them and he knows what they are. I'm pretty sure, right?
Well, he walks in to examine Lucy, and Lucy says that she knows Jonathan is dead.
Yes.
And she's very calm.
Yep.
And he looks at her eyes. Van Helsing does. I didn't see him look at her neck, but
yeah, he turned her head or whatever,
He knows exactly what they are.
Yes. So they exit the room, and Van Helsing orders that Lucy's windows be shut during the nighttime hours.
Yes.
From
sunset.
And he even
to
tells
sunrise.
them that she may, no matter how much she asks for them to be opened, they are to remain closed. Right?
Yeah, and tells her to get garlic flowers all around the room, which is interesting because it's flowers, the garlic flowers, not the garlic itself that he says to get. And they do. And Van Helsing says to Mina, do exactly as I say or she will die.
Yes, he does.
Which I thought was pretty heavy.
Yeah. He says he will return in the morning to check on her. So I guess we see there's garlic flowers by Lucy's bed, and she knocks them over.
She's not happy.
And she orders them taken away. She says they are stifling her.
Yeah, Lucy begs Gerda to take them away.
Yeah. And then she begs her to open the window.
When she does, Lucy looks excited. She's, again, anticipating something very happy is going to happen. Gerda should have been fired, is all I'm saying. Oops, sorry, I killed Lucy. My bad.
Yeah. The next morning, she gone.
Yep.
They're putting the sheet over Lucy's face.
Arthur and Mina are crying.
Yes. Van Helsing arrives, and Gerda admits that she opened the windows.
Yeah, she confesses. She's very sorry, but still, I don't think I would have kept her in my employment.
And then Van Helsing gives them Harker's diary and says, you may not believe it when I tell you what is going on, but, read Jonathan's own words about what happened to Lucy and him, right?
Yeah.
So then the little Tanya girl comes in with the police. So the policeman found her wandering, quite confused, he says. She says she was outside. She saw Aunt Lucy, and she asked her to come with her, walk with her so they could play or something.
Yeah, they went for a walk, but then Lucy saw someone and left her alone. And then she didn't know where she was.
So then Arthur goes to Lucy's casket in the cellar and finds it empty.
Why don't any of these caskets have lids on them?
Don't know.
They're all.
I was kind of curious why they kept caskets in the cellar.
Maybe. Well, he went to the crypt.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
he saw a cellar.
No, he went to the cemetery. There's a crypt. There's some fog and trees and things there, but it doesn't have a top. Even in the cellar, when Harker went down and found Dracula and the woman, those two were topless, And when Van Helsing found Harker topless, he didn't have to push the top off or anything to get in there and nail him.
Correct.
I don't know. It's weird.
Next, we see Tanya again wandering outside in the woods, and she meets up with vampire Lucy. And Lucy takes her to the entrance of, I guess, the crypt, now that you've said that, right?
They go for a walk, and Tanya says that Lucy is cold.
Yes. Then Arthur sees them because he was there checking on Lucy's casket, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Lucy says, "Oh, Arthur, dear brother, what took you so long? Why
Let me
didn't you
kiss
come
you
sooner?" Yeah. And then she goes to bite Arthur.
But dun da da da.
"Here I come to save the day." Van Helsing jumps in and arrives with the cross and burns it into Lucy's forehead.
She runs into the crypt.
Yes.
Which seems to me like she'd be cornered pretty easily in there, but
no, she has to go there.
It's getting
daylight.
light.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and then Van Helsing takes care of Tanya and wraps her up in his coat and gives her a rosary with a huge cross on it.
He doesn't take care of her. He takes care of her. Right.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
He doesn't put a stake through her heart. He takes care of her.
Bundles her up to make sure she's warm and gives her the rosary.
Yes. And Van Helsing explains to them that Lucy is to replace the woman that Jonathan Harker killed.
Right. So it's about revenge because Arthur says, why her?
Van Helsing tells Arthur to meet him back at the crypt, I guess, in about an hour after the sunrise.
Yeah, Van Helsing says that Lucy can lead them to Dracula. But Arthur says, no, it's too dangerous. He's worried about Tanya or other people, or, he's basically says, kill her now.
Yeah, originally Van Helsing wanted to use Lucy as bait, right?
Right. But Arthur says, no, kill her, because he's too worried about all the things that could happen and go wrong.
Yeah. Van Helsing drives a stake through Lucy's quote unquote heart again.
Yeah.
It's a little
this
low,
one's a little,
but whatever.
Much more vivid, though, this one.
Yes. And then Arthur looks down in her casket and the cross scar on her forehead is gone. And she looks so pleasant and just like she's sleeping. Right?
She did blink, though. Did you see her?
I didn't notice.
Yeah.
No.
She does look beautiful.
Yeah, she's all right.
Well, she just got staked. Cut her some slack, as they say.
Arthur reads Harker's diary, and Van Helsing gives him a crash course in vampires. That's what I wrote.
Well, he does say that the count is probably 500 to 600 years old, and they do make a distinct change here than most other movies about vampires. And they say that it's a myth that they can change into bats or wolves.
Correct. I do remember that.
Which I don't know why they changed that, but they do.
Don't either.
Maybe they didn't have money. I don't know. But
they deduced that Dracula was in the funeral carriage that almost ran over Van Helsing because he has to be lay in soil from his homeland, right? Or some
right, his native soil. Yeah. So they figure out that that's
the only way Dracula could have gotten there is if he was in that carriage in his coffin with soil from his homeland. So then they go to find out where the carriage was going.
Yeah,
right?
So there'll be a record of that when they crossed a certain border, I guess.
Yes.
Because there's like border patrol kind of thing. So they go to that official's office, I guess you'd call it, right?
To find out the address of where the carriage or where the coffin was delivered, basically. Next week,
he says he can't do it until Arthur pulls out some bills, and he's easily bribed. So they find out.
Yeah, Arthur bribes the guy to tell him where the carriage was going and gives him the address. And in the meantime, Mina also gets a message that she should go to an address from a boy, right?
A messenger boy. Yeah.
And the messenger boy says that the message came from Arthur.
Is it the same address?
I thought it was at first, but obviously it's not. The address the border guy gives them is for the J. Marks, right?
I don't know. It's
The
49 Frederick
the Undertaker,
Strasser.
the Undertaker and Mortician, because that's where they go to look for the coffin later, right?
Yeah, so it was there. He says it was there, but now it's gone.
Right.
So it is the same address.
Okay.
That's where it was delivered. Because when
I
she
guess.
gets to
Yeah.
Frederick,
So then I made a note when I was originally watching it. Is it the same address? Question mark. I couldn't remember. But next we see Mina at the address, and she goes into the cellar. I'm calling it.
okay, I said stable. I didn't know what
And
it
there are
was,
two
but-
coffins in there. And Dracula opens one, and it's the white one.
Right. He comes from the white one.
And it fades to black. And we're back at the house after that. And Arthur asks Gerda to go wake up Mina. And Gerda comes down and says, she's not there. And just then Mina enters with a fur wrapped tightly around her neck.
Yeah, I said she's guarding that neck like a teenager hiding a hickey. I mean, she's got it pulled up so tight and talking to Arthur, and she doesn't want him to see.
But Arthur tells her that they will be away for a little while.
And he mentions that she looks pale.
Yes. Next, we see a scene of a sign, J. Marks, Undertaker and Mortician. Van Helsing and Arthur go in there, and the Undertaker shows him the coffin that was supposedly delivered, but it's missing.
Yeah, the Undertaker's
They
a
go.
kooky character. He's comic relief, but yeah,
Yes.
he takes him and he's like, I'm sure it was here. It was right here. And the stand is there to hold it, but the coffin
Yeah,
is gone.
He's got so many coffins, he's not sure which one's which, but he's sure that was it, right?
Yeah, it was white. Most of them aren't. But
Yes. So next we see Van Helsing and Arthur looking at a map, trying to figure out where Dracula could have gone. We're trying,
Yeah.
well, he's within this radius of whatever, so many kilometers. And Arthur says, well, there is an old neglected graveyard here.
they're whispering and Mina's doing needlepoint behind them on the couch.
Yes. She asked, what they're whispering about. And they say, oh, don't worry about it. or
Don't you
whatever.
worry your pretty little head
Yes.
about that. But
And then as they're getting ready to leave, Arthur gives Mina a cross. He says, no matter how crazy it sounds, I want you to keep this or whatever, right?
wear the cross. Yes.
Yes. He puts it in her hand. She collapses
She faints.
and the cross is burned into her hand.
Dracula has gotten to her.
She's a creature of the night, a member of the undead.
Almost.
So they decide to use Mina for bait, right?
They do.
And they go outside and wait
So
outside.
they put her up in the room and they're going to watch her room.
Yes, they watch her window to be sure Dracula doesn't come in. But apparently Dracula comes right in the front door or some shit I wrote.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't
'Cause
watch
he's
the
standing
front
in
door.
the foyer. Then he goes up and he kisses Mina.
He ascends. She backs into the room and closes the door.
Yes. And he begins kissing her all over her face. And then a
Yeah.
screech owl. Right?
Well, an owl. I don't know what
The
kind.
screech
but-
owl. I'm pretty
okay.
sure. Well, I call it a screech owl because it was screeching.
Okay. The owl startles the boys outside,
Yes.
and they think they've done a good job. They think she's safe in the morning.
Yes. They said, "Huh, he didn't come. I guess everything's okay."
Yeah.
But then Arthur goes upstairs to get a blanket or something for Van Helsing.
To take a nap. Yeah.
Because they're going to sleep during the day and go back at it the next night, right?
To watch her room. Yes.
Yes. Van Helsing hears Arthur yell or something, and he runs up there. We see Mina in bed with blood dripping from the bite marks on her neck.
She's drained.
So, Karen, what does Van Helsing do next?
He gives Mina a blood transfusion from Arthur.
Yes, Dr. Karen.
Lucky they match.
I guess so. I even told my wife, right here is where I'm going to say, so, Dr. Karen, tell us how this would work.
Well, I didn't
If it
really look
would.
up I don't know if they have the same blood type, it would. And there are different,
And there's the universal
Possibilities.
one, right? Or whatever.
right. I think universal is O, but I could be wrong. But yeah,
What's
they
O
just lay down.
negative?
That's the RH factor is positive or negative. That has
Yeah.
more to do with the
But there's
fetus.
something special about O negative.
I think O positive is the universal donor. AB negative is very rare. I think O is just a universal donor. I don't know if it has to be positive or negative.
O negative is the most common blood type used for transfusions when the blood type is unknown.
There you go. So hopefully he's O negative.
It is the universal blood type, O negative. Also a good metal band back in the day.
But he just sits him down in a chair, starts pumping his blood out.
Yeah. And into Mina.
Mm-hmm.
He actually does a good job of this, I think, this scene. The actor does.
Yeah, he sterilizes everything
Right.
and he does take the time. They show a lot of it where he's not speaking, but he is putting alcohol in the
Gerda's
arms.
there pouring alcohol on cotton swabs or whatever.
Right.
And I think he does a good job.
Although he tells Arthur that, obviously he's low on fluids, right?
Yes.
So he tells him to drink more fluids.
Yes.
And he says, drink tea, coffee, or best,
Yes.
wine.
Hell yeah. Drink some wine.
All terrible advice. That's all.
Well, Arthur sits up and he gets dizzy.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, you need to drink some wine."
Yeah. He's probably given a little bit more than a normal person would give at a blood draw or something, like a pint. Don't you give a pint?
No idea.
Terrible, terrible advice about the fluids.
Okay.
No caffeine, no alcohol.
Hey, you want orange juice or something? Well, that's what they give you, right?
Well, it helps keep your blood sugar up. Yeah.
So next they try to figure out how Dracula got into the house. And Arthur asks Gerda to get another bottle of wine because he needs more fluids.
Right. From the cellar.
Yes. And she says, Mina told me never under any circumstances to go to the cellar. And I didn't want to disobey her wishes after what happened to Miss Lucy.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right. She doesn't want to fuck up again, basically.
Right. So Van Helsing runs down there
because
he knows what's going on now.
Yeah.
And he finds Dracula's white coffin.
But it's empty.
It is. Van Helsing runs back upstairs, and by this time the Gerda is hysterical or some shit because Van Helsing slaps her.
Well, first Dracula locks Van Helsing in the cellar, and then he's yelling, "Hell, let me out, let me," and Arthur lets him out, and they run up to Mina's room.
Right.
Dracula took Mina, just hauled off with her.
Yeah, I didn't write that, but I did write Van Helsing slaps Gerda, and she tells them that Dracula took Mina. And then they chase after Dracula, and they decide the only place he can go now is home. So he's trying to get back to his castle.
Yeah, so they're racing back in these horse carriages.
Yes, and they come across a murdered coachman.
Well, that's how Dracula got a carriage.
Yeah, and the next we see Dracula driving the coach. Dracula comes to the border and he crashes through the gate.
And right when the official fixes it with
the
rope,
border guard or whatever it is repairs it, and here come Van Helsing and Arthur, and they crash through it as well. Although I'm sure no horses were harmed during the filming.
They didn't show them crash through
They didn't.
it. So.
Actually, they looked like they were stopping.
It looked like they went right up to it and stopped. But yeah,
Right. It was kind of comic relief for the border guy.
Right.
He has this look on his face like, don't, whatever.
Yeah.
We see it's getting light, and we see Dracula digging a grave for Mina, and he throws her in it.
Literally, he just throws her in.
Yeah, I even rewound that to see if it looked like a dummy, and it didn't really look like a dummy.
It didn't.
Kind of looked like her.
It did look like her, but I don't know if it was or not. But
there's probably a mattress or a cushion down there.
I guess, but he did.
Whatever.
He just threw her in and
Right.
started covering her with dirt.
And as he does that, she wakes up or whatever and screams. And then Arthur and Van Helsing arrive. Arthur runs to save Mina. Van Helsing chases after Dracula into the castle. Van Helsing and Dracula fight. Dracula chokes him out.
They wrestle. Yeah, Dracula does choke him. Goes to bite him, but
And just then Van Helsing wakes up and pushes him away.
they stare at each other for a moment.
And next, Van Helsing jumps upon the tables and leaps across them, runs across them. There's two large tables, I guess, and pulls down the curtains, letting a beam of sunlight into the center of the room.
That's what I mean. He was pretty athletic.
Yeah.
He could move.
I don't think he was really a young dude when this was filmed either.
He got up on the table and was like 3 strides to get the curtains down. And the sun burns his foot.
Yes.
And he's turning to dust. So he's turning to dust from his feet. The rest of him's okay.
Correct.
He's starting.
The actor was 45 years old when he did this, Van Helsing.
Wow, it's pretty
Yeah. So Dracula
agile.
Yeah, Dracula's leg gets caught in the light and it, melts away or turns to dust. Next, Van Helsing grabs 2 candlesticks and forms a cross.
Yep.
And pushes Dracula into the sunbeam, and he turns to dust.
First, he looks like a Muppet. And then he turns to dust.
Yeah, all that's left is his ring.
Yep.
And we see the cross on Mina's hand fades, and Arthur kisses it.
In the dust of
There's
Dracula.
a tender moment. Hey, there's a tender moment there, Karen.
Sorry. The dust of Dracula blows away.
It does. On the Zodiac wheel in the center of the room. Correct?
Yep.
And next we have credits. I just noticed there's a note too about the Zodiac wheel. I was going to ask you about it.
I didn't notice it.
You didn't?
No.
It has several quotes in Latin and Greek in it.
I saw his crest, his family crest at the beginning, but it
The
didn't.
inner circle in Greek has a quote from Homer's Odyssey, book 18. The mind of men who live on the earth is such as the day the father of gods and men / Zeus brings upon them. I don't know what that means.
It didn't flow, that's for sure.
Then the outer wheel is in Latin, and it's a quote from somebody I can't pronounce. And it means, I'm not going to try to speak the Latin, but apparently it means, and earth first bore starry heaven equal to herself to cover her on every side and to be an ever sure abiding place for the blessed gods.
It sounds like creation a little bit.
Yeah, and Dracula's ring is left on the glyph of the sign of Aquarius.
And what is that?
I don't know, but there's a note in here about it, so it must be a big deal.
I don't know. I saw the crest, and the crest said something like faithful in death or faithful in dead or something. I don't know. I didn't look it up, but it's on the wall. They show a close-up of it on the wall, and they show it on the note that he's reading. It's like a family kind of crest kind of thing.
Cool. Next we have credits, Karen. The end.
Yep.
All right, Karen, anything you were pleasantly surprised by or really liked in this vampire film, other than the vampire was cool?
Just that there were vampires in it.
He was cool.
He was cool.
He's a distinguished gentleman, even though the only person he talked to in the whole thing was Harker.
But he didn't even need to talk. That's the thing. But I think you can see in this movie versus what I would call the original with Bella, Christopher Lee brings the sex. You know what I mean? Like he's making it. I don't know if it's the times or what. Well, it's 58, so it wasn't. He's making. I think the vampire. Dracula's a little. He has more control over the ladies, kind of.
He does.
Or they make it more obvious anyway. I mean, Dracula always has control over the ladies, but they make it like they're having sex, kind of, instead of just wandering off to be drained of their blood.
Yes. Christopher Lee introduced a dark, brooding sexuality to the character.
Well, there you go. See?
As well as red contact lenses and fangs. So
I think you can see at least the start of what makes vampires so cool in this one.
And so you've said you never read the source material.
Not all the way through. No, I should.
Well, from what you know, would you say that the Bram Stoker's Dracula is probably the truest film adaptation, or no?
Probably closest to the book, I would bet, but I don't know for sure.
With Gary Oldman, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's pretty sexual. That movie is.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's in the book or not, you know? I mean, maybe it's implied in the book because he just has to mind call them. You know what I mean? Like they just come to him.
And the Bela Lugosi, he does that as well.
Right.
But it's not as overtly sexual, I guess, or I don't know.
No, I don't think so
But it was a different time, so.
That's what I'm saying. I think Christopher Lee kind of brought that. It might be in the book. It's kind of implied, but you couldn't write like that back then or make movies like that, I'm guessing.
Okay. Anything else you really liked?
I thought the casting was good. I liked it. I think the only thing I was disappointed in, and it's not fair to be disappointed in it, to be honest, because it was 1958, but the disintegration was, like I said, he looked like a Muppet. It was not good. But it's not fair to say they did the best they could with what they had. But watching it now, instead of being horrific, is kind of funny.
Yeah, the budget was £81,000.
Well, but they just didn't have the technology to make him disintegrate into dust. It's not their fault, but because
Yeah,
we've
but
seen.
I kind of feel like Hammer was kind of the first to kind of do that kind of stuff, though. You know what I mean? As far as special effects like that.
Well, attempting, yes. And it probably at the time was, like I said, horrific. It's just that we've watched so many movies with such incredible special effects that when you look back at it, it's not horrific. It's funny.
Yeah.
But it's not. I'm sure at the time it was frightening. Just like watching, I could never watch as a kid The Wizard of Oz when the witch melted. It just freaked me out. But now because it's so different what we watch now, it doesn't seem that bad. But when I was younger, it did, So I'm
Yes.
sure at the time this was crazy.
Yep.
What about you? What do you think?
I've already said Christopher Lee is my Dracula. So that's all that needs to be said, I think.
Were you disappointed in anything?
I would have liked it, I guess, if he had more dialogue, more lines.
Yeah. Well, more fleshed out as a character,
Yeah.
They didn't really, I mean, he had that brooding but they didn't really show it in action.
Yeah. He went vampire too soon, maybe. Like they could have kept the suspense longer.
Yeah.
Had any more lines, being more like Jerry. Jerry Dandridge, but
I think it was good. It was a good start. I know there's a lot of sequels to it, a lot of things that they did, but I don't know if they get worse or better. Probably worse.
Well, the direct sequel to this was Brides of Dracula, which doesn't have Christopher Lee at all, and it's about a bunch of women, vampires. Dracula's not in it. He's only mentioned a couple times.
Oh, is that the one where they think there was a lesbian overtone to it? I think I read about
Probably.
that.
Hell, I don't know. And then comes next Christopher Lee film. I think that's the one he refused to say any of the lines, so he has no dialogue in it.
Oh, that early, the second one.
Yeah, Prince of Darkness, Dracula, Prince of Darkness.
So he was done with it pretty quickly.
Yeah, he does not speak in that film at all. When he was asked, he says because of it was terrible when he read it, but the guy who wrote it says he didn't write any lines for him. So there was this kind of like
Oh.
bashing heads about that. But then he did Dracula's Risen from the Grave, and yeah, so he did a few more. I'm kind of looking forward to when we do The Curse of Frankenstein, which stars Christopher Lee as well.
You have a man crush on Christopher Lee.
I've been hypnotized by his vampire eyes.
Yes, apparently so. If you wander off in the middle of the night, it would be to find Christopher Lee.
Sir Christopher Lee.
You're going to need a white nightgown, though, that flows in the wind.
Yeah, but not sheer. There were no sheer nightgowns in this.
Aw.
Okay, what do you think? What kind of cocktail rating are we giving this film? How many cocktails, Karen, did it take you to get through this film?
See, this is hard because is it a great film? No, but is it a great film in its genre? You know what I mean?
In its own right.
Well, if you compare it to other
No,
films,
if you don't compare it to any film on its own, is it a good film or no?
I guess it's a 3. But as a,
I like it better than the Universal one, personally.
well, the Universal one's older though. So
Yeah.
they have a little more freedom with this one. It begins everything where the vampire becomes much sexier and brooding. It's the basis. It's the start,
Of the modern vampire
Yeah,
lore.
kind of. And so as that, it deserves much more recognition. But as the film itself isn't that good,
No, isn't it?
Not really, no.
Earned $3.5 million. in
Well, I think,
theatrical
like
rentals.
I said, for this time, I think it was really different and exciting. And
It was in the top 12 in England the year it was released for the year. Holds a approval rating of 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's pretty good.
I think if you look at it as how it's contributed to the overall horror genre, I think it deserves those things. because I think it changed the direction of the vampires, you know?
Yeah, it was well received by critics and fans of Stoker's works.
But production and quality and, you know, all of that, it's not as good. So
But at the time, it was.
I thought they were low budget even then, weren't they? I don't know. I give it a 3.
I'm just reading reviews here. I'm just skimming reviews, and they're talking about
for its
one of the best
contributions.
horror films ever made. Photographed in Technicolor, tops them all. Shock impact. I mean, at the time, it was very well received, is all I'm saying. So,
well, I think for the time, the special effects where he goes to dust and the driving the stake in color with the blood everywhere, I think that was original. You know, I think it was shocking, and it's hard to look back on it now and appreciate everything because you can't turn off what you know now and go back to that.
yeah,
But
I dug it.
I liked it.
He is my Dracula.
I give it a 3.
Okay. All right. What about comments on Dracula's blood?
I liked it. It's a good drink. I think it would look really cool if you set a whole table, you know, full of black and reds and Dracula-like things, and you drank that drink.
Yeah.
If you wanted an alternative to wine, because most people would pour wine. I don't particularly like wine.
I don't either.
I mean, I'll drink it if that's, you know, part of the atmosphere or whatever, but this would be a nice substitute for people who didn't want wine, but still has the same kind of feel to it, same coloring. And
You don't really get the alcohol in it either. You know, it's not boozy at all.
no, you taste the peach though.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, it's in there, but yeah, it doesn't have that alcohol aftertaste.
It's one of those that could get dangerous if you kept drinking.
Right.
But it's good. Yeah, I like it. I was today years old when I learned there was black cherry juice. And
You're
it's
welcome.
Delicious.
Yes, because you're going to buy it all the time now.
All right. Anything we learned?
Well, what was the Edison thing
Edison.
that
Yeah,
I'm
the
a
Edison
horrible guesser?
Cylinder phonograph. Yeah, Karen, they're $5, not 90,000.
Should always bid $1 if you're next to me on Price is Right.
Correct. Yeah. And just a bunch of vampire lore stuff.
Yeah, we did learn lore. We also learned that there's a little bit of
Controversy.
diversity and freedom in what you choose to include from your source material. You know, that he changed. Well, I don't know who wrote this. They changed that the ability of the vampire to transform into other creatures, you know, and that's gone. There was no Renfield, which was interesting. So, you know,
Maybe that's not in the source material. I don't know. You've said you never read it.
no, but I'm pretty sure Renfield's in the source material.
Yeah, but they can change the wolves and bats.
All right, I'll have to read it and I'll get back to you.
Yes.
But I'm pretty sure that's in there too.
Well, he does transform in the film Bram Stoker's Dracula.
He does, yeah. Wolves is a favorite.
Yeah, he is depicted in the novel to have been the origin of werewolf legends. So apparently in the novel, he can change into a wolf. So there you go. But you read that and get back to me. Let me know if that's correct or not.
Should I do a book report?
Yes, please. I'll expect that on my desk, Karen.
Should I put it in the shoebox? You didn't have to do the book report where the little diorama was in the shoebox and then you explained it all.
Yeah, I've done those. Yes.
Yeah.
As well. Yes. Just like a written report on my desk
Okay.
by the end of the week, Karen. Anything else, Karen?
No, I don't think so.
So the next movie?
The next movie's yours.
Next movie's my choice.
Yeah.
Is it? All right. So the next film, I guess we're going to do Trick or Treat.
Ooh. I've not seen Trick or Treat.
And there are several. So the 2007 Trick or
Oh,
Treat
okay.
film, The Horror Anthology by Michael Dougherty.
Dougherty?
Dougherty.
Okay.
That's what I say his name.
And what's the drink?
Oh, a drink?
Please tell me it has
Do I have
candy
a
corn.
drink?
Please tell me it has candy corn in it.
It does not.
Aw, would have been
So,
perfect.
The drink we're going to have is called Samhain cider.
Okay.
Would you like to know what you're going to need, Karen?
I would. I hope it's not rum because I'm out.
Whiskey?
Well, what constitutes whiskey?
Bourbon.
So like Jack.
Whiskey. Whatever.
Okay.
Just whiskey. Bourbon whiskey. Whiskey.
Okay.
Doesn't even have to be bourbon. It could be Jack.
He knows that I like bourbon. That's why he's
Right.
saying that. He knows I have bourbon.
Bourbon whiskey, whatever. Tennessee whiskey.
Jack.
I don't care.
Jack, whatever. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Fresh squeezed lemon juice.
Out of the plastic lemon.
Yes. Maple syrup. Some vanilla bitters.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to get to. And some hard cider.
Hard cider, like that's alcoholic cider. Yes. Yep. Okay.
I'm probably going to get some apple orchard cider, hard apple cider. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably the dry version.
That's boozy.
I know. Sounds great, doesn't it?
For you, sounds like it's a little risky for me.
You like whiskey? It's mostly whiskey.
Yeah, but I have to mix the whiskey with stuff.
Well, you are with lemon juice and maple syrup.
A teaspoon of lemon juice and a teaspoon of syrup is not going to do it.
No, it's like an ounce. So a whole shot glass of lemon juice.
All right.
And then you top it off with hard cider.
More alcohol, though.
Yeah, but it's not whiskey. And you don't have to use, a high proof whiskey, right?
All right. Well, we'll see.
You're going to use your Knob Creek that you won, Karen.
Yes. I did win. I'm a winner.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I should probably put it out there now. This is one of my favorite movies. It's definitely my favorite Halloween movie. So
it's a lot of pressure on me. What if I don't like it?
So you better like it, Karen.
I know. Right? What if I don't like it? This thing sucks.
That's fine. It'll be fine, I'm sure. Anything else, Karen? Anyone you need to thank?
Well, I could thank Courtney and Jeremy for listening to the podcast and keeping you in line about how many breasts are actually seen in the movie. Actually, they just asked for clarification.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure if they go back and look at it now, they will see I am correct in my count. At least up until the point where they all start jumping over the fire, because there's too many of them there.
They were listening to Wicker Man and they were just asking for clarification. But I just wanted to say thank you very much for listening. We appreciate it very much.
Yes. One of the women in the yard during the orgy had a blouse with only one breast showing. So there you go.
That's how he counts.
We had 0 breasts in this one, Karen.
You must have been so disappointed.
0.
Courtney and Jeremy can skip this one. I see they're going to skip it, and I thank them.
It did have Christopher Lee, though. I do love me some Christopher Lee as well.
Well, that's Wicker Man had Christopher Lee and lots of breasts. So
yeah,
you must have really loved that one.
I did. Anything else, Karen? Anyone else you need to thank?
Probably, but I can't think of them right now.
Well, of course, once again, I need to thank Verse 13 for letting us use their music in the podcast. Once again, their info will be linked in the notes. Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks so much for listening. Want to keep in touch? Check out our website, scaryspirits.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Scary Spirits Podcast. Find us on YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast. If you have questions or comments, you can email us at info@scaryspirits.com. To help us grow the podcast, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We really do appreciate your support. And as always, please drink responsibly.